Fox Business Alert: streaming could finally be taking a back seat to the silver screen. Newly merged Paramount Skydance, falling a teeny bit today, but they have unveiled plans to boost film production. CEO David Ellison yesterday reiterated that original streaming movies will, quote, not be a priority, and the entertainment giant will be focusing more on theatrical releases. Ellison also telling reporters during a press conference that the company is raising its production output to 20 films per year compared to the previous slate of just 8 films. Yeah, there's a new sheriff in town at Paramount Skydance. Shares of the new company, and the ticker changed to PSKY. I mean, they've been jumping all over the place, but the 2-day chart is very impressive. The week-to-date chart, this stock has jumped 38%. And here's the kicker. During his company's earnings call on Monday, my next guest predicted that Paramount would ramp up its release slate after the merger. Joining me now, AMC Entertainment CEO and President Aron. I don't know, Adam, was this psychic timing on your behalf? I mean, David Ellison just took the helm of Paramount. Had you been conversing with him about his pretty bold plan?
Well, we certainly are in touch with Paramount every week as a company. Look, we had great appreciation for the prior regime at Paramount, but we've thought for a long time that Paramount in David Ellison's hands would be very good for exhibition, very good for AMC. We thought they would make more movies, and sure enough, it's nice when you make a prediction and a few hours later it turns out to be true.
Okay, to me, I mean, the previous administration, you can say what you want, but the stock was a mess. Not to mention that it almost felt like they had lost their North Star. Here comes David Ellison, who has made a lot of movies. In fact, Mission Impossible, the latest iteration, had come out in the quarter that they just reported. And here you go. You see a guy who says, let's get going. You've got to be thrilled that he says he's looking at theatrical releases versus straight to streaming.
We are. And, you know, if you want to go back beyond the Mission Impossible movies, I give David Ellison and Tom Cruise all the credit in the world for turning around the entire movie industry. You'll recall that Ellison's Skydance was behind Top Gun Maverick several years ago, and that was the movie. Top Gun Maverick was the movie that finally convinced studios that they should re-embrace theatrical exhibition. And it's clearly the trend's been going in our direction ever since.
Second quarter blockbusters actually drew a lot of people back into the theater, whether it was Lilo and Stitch or a Minecraft movie. Those two were very, very big. And, you know, How to Train Your Dragon, Thunderbolts, as we said, Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible. In your second quarter earnings report, you saw a 26% increase in moviegoers coming into the theater for attendance. What do you think really is driving the comeback beyond some of these great movies?
Well, by the way, it does help to have great movies. You can add to your list. Yeah. Sinners, and Apple came out with F1 starring Brad Pitt, which is a wonderful movie. You know, I'd like to think that we run our theaters really well. No one has more premium large format screens than AMC on the planet. We're very much committed to IMAX, very much committed to Dolby Cinema. We've put a lot of effort into serving our guests well, giving a great variety in the food and drink that we offer. But let's not kid ourselves. It all starts with movies, and Hollywood released quite a slate in the second quarter. As you say, our attendance quarter to quarter, year over year, was up 26%. Our revenues were up 36%. And Liz, there is so much operating leverage in this business. Back in the fourth quarter of 24, 6 months ago, our revenues were up 18%. That caused our EBITDA at AMC to triple. In the second quarter of 25, the quarter that we just announced a couple of days ago, this week, in fact, our revenues were up 36%. AMC's EBITDA just almost quintupled quarter to quarter, year over year. So as movies come out, as the revenues grow, it sort of allows our EBITDA to skyrocket.
Okay, let's talk about the current quarter. There's this movie that came out last weekend, Weapons. My son was saying, Mom, you got to see Weapons. Is that one of these that's sort of a quiet kind of, oh, you got to see this, and then it builds? You also have Freakier Friday, which brought in something like $29 million, which is more than what it cost to make the movie. Weapons had the same situation, cost less than what it brought in, which was $42.5 million domestically, $78 million internationally. So this leads me to the question about forecasting. Adam, forecasting firm, the accounting firm PwC said box office grosses will not return to pre-pandemic levels until 2029. What do you say about that? What is your prediction?
Well, they might be right about that, by the way. But what I really say about that, it doesn't matter to us, because the most important statistic is that comes out of what we've done in running this company since COVID. We got AMC in a position where it is hyper efficient, and our profit per patron, our contribution per patron, now in the most recent quarter was up 48% above what our profit per patron was going into COVID. So we don't actually need the box office to come all the way back up to pre-COVID levels for AMC to be delivering pre-COVID levels of EBITDA. And that's because there's so much operating leverage in the business. That's because we've taken out a lot of cost. That's because we've come up with clever ways to come up with more revenue. Consumers are buying about 80% more food, drink, and merchandise now on a per head basis than they did pre-COVID. And that's a very high margin business for us. You know, and I mentioned merchandise is one of those little items in there. 3 years ago, we didn't have a merchandise business. In like literally nothing. It was zero. We sold no movie-themed merchandise. Just in the month of July, we sold $11 million worth of movie-themed merchandise.
What are you talking about merchandise? T-shirts?
We have this bizarre internal name. We call them concession collectible vehicles. And what they are is they are popcorn holders that are sold at our concession stands that have all sorts of interesting shapes. I think one of my favorites was the Barbie concession collectible vehicle. It was a pink automobile, and if you lifted up its front hood, that's where you put the popcorn.
Okay.
And people are buying this stuff like crazy. You know, that's going to be, it isn't quite yet, but with $11 million of sales in 1 month, that's going to be a $100 million a year business for AMC. And that's a business that literally did not even exist 3 years ago.
Okay, that's a headline. Yeah, I would say that's a headline.
So we're doing a much better job running our theaters. We're also expanding the number of premium large format screens because they sell about 4 times in dollar volume what a regular non-premium auditorium sells. Gotcha. So we've greatly increased the number of them. And this is all good. I mean, if you look at the 12-month run rate of the box office from April 1 of this year, when Minecraft came out, to next March, which is when Avatar 3 will still be in theaters, still selling tickets into its mid-December release date. I think the box office is going to be pushing between $10 and $10.5 billion over the 12 months, April to March. That's a lot more than it was in the last 12 months, the 12 months before that, the 12 months before that. So the movie industry is coming back.
That's really great to hear. It is great to hear. And Adam, I like the Happy Meal business model. I can't tell you how many Happy Meals I was forced to buy just for the toy, not for the food. It's great to see you. Keep us posted. We're excited about the fall slate of movies coming out and see how your company reacts. Thanks so much.
Always nice to be with you.